obviously take the issue of unidentified aerial phenomenon seriously. There's a whole office at the Pentagon that has stood up to analyze the data, collect reports, collate those reports, and forward them up appropriately. And that's, I think, testament to the fact that we know these phenomena have impacted military training, have then impacted military readiness.
Okay, we're going to bring on James Martinez now, and to do that, we have to go somewhere first. In case you're wondering where that place is, well, must you wonder any further? It's space. Well, this is something that landed on my doorstep today, and I couldn't believe it, and it has to deal with the following. The CIA simulated UFO abductions in Latin America as a psychological warfare experiment, says Dr. Jackie Valley. That's true. So apparently this took place, and they did a lot of experiments in South America. We know about the blood transfusion over there, I believe, in Central America, where they gave a lot of tainted blood back in the early 80s. Well, this one's slightly different as it has to do with UFOs, and everybody's talking about those right now. Well, the CIA simulated UFO abductions in Latin America as the psychological warfare experiments now. And throughout history, they say the field of ufology and the examination of the extraterrestrial, that's ET for all of you who did not know, the hypothesis has, without a doubt, been overcome by the plethora of disinformation. That's right, everything from the chupacabra to the guy wearing the Sasquatch suit. Well, those who have dived into the depths of ufology know this best. It's well documented that the outsiders from intelligence agencies and governments have infiltrated the field for the purposes of deceiving researchers and people who are interested in a topic for one simple reason: to keep them away from truth. Well, upon reading this and hearing about this now, I said, who do I know that might know a thing or two about this whole debacle here? And it rang. James Martinez. So I called him up, and he's joining us here tonight. James, welcome back to World at War.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing good. I mean, we're surviving the CCPs, we're surviving, just the Elton bars, and now we're surviving probing Chinese experts that have UFOs now. So let's talk about this, because you told me right off the bat that you were highly involved in exposing this not too long ago.
Yeah, that was my involvement with MKUltra. There's a whole story behind that article with Jacques Vallée. Most people don't know Jacques Vallée is one of the biggest heavyweights in that whole field, and has been around the longest, and has already been he was characterized in the movie Close Encounters. Yeah, he's been involved since the very, very beginning, and the reason what he's saying in that article, I didn't read the entire thing because I know the story already, but it was simulated. That's what I came forward and said in '89 and told Walter Boert when we were putting together Operation Mind Control. And at that point, that was a big secret that they were doing that, because I found out from my association with one of the biggest legitimate contactee cases in the world, and because there was two at that time in the early 90s. One of them was Uri Geller, which people still don't understand what the hell he's doing today. And the other one
that's a mystery, yes.
Yeah, the other one was a woman named Marion Shenefield. She was the other arm to the late Dr. Andrei Buharich, who was doing the CIA's program for going head-to-head with the Soviets in psychic warfare. That's what he was there for. But the important part with Marion Shenefield is I found out about it, how they were faking the abductions, through my association with her, because she was a huge problem for the entire military and intelligence community itself, because what they don't want people to understand or know is that some people that are contactee cases are augmented physically, spiritually, intellectually. Their IQs go up. There's massive changes that happen to people that they're unaware of. And this was one of the biggest cases ever, because this woman was blind. She was blinded by her case.
That is a true statement. I know a lot of people who've been struck by lightning. Next thing you know, they're like a pianist, concerto artist. I mean, these
Yes.
wild things happen.
Yeah.
But the contactees, okay, would these come under the category of targeted individuals, those who get contacted, survive somehow, and manage to break away from the so-called men in black? Would they be TIs?
No, that's a separate
Okay,
separate
so just going
issue.
to make sure. Right.
Well, the Shanafield case was important. Nobody knows about it. I've done 2 national radio interviews about that case because I kept it quiet my whole, kind of side career I was doing when I was working with her, because I was in negotiations to get a movie done and da da da. The point of the story is that she's the one that assisted me and identified how the abductions were being faked, and what for, and why, and how she could see that, because she was given a special gift. She had 100% blindness, but she had a gift of, I guess you could call it brain sight. It gave her the ability
ESP.
to way past that.
Okay.
Nothing like this existed in the whole
Right.
world, and it was a big secret for a long time. I mean, people, if they look up Marianne Shenafield UFO case, there's very little, because she avoided the press like a plague, and she was just basically doing experimentation in advanced mathematics and all sorts of stuff. And she told me when I was introduced to her that they were faking these abductions, and would I help her figure out how it was being done, because she had a lot of unusual cognitive gifts.
Right.
She was probably the top female remote viewer in the world. She was the apparatus of why we built our psychic warfare in the United States through Praharj. And Jacques Lee, he knows about her. She's passed away since, but that was a big secret, is why they were faking these abductions and what for, and how it was being done. And then she told me, and I told Walter Boer in depth how it was being done. Everything from drugs to hypnosis to robotics to stimulating memories, installing new memories on old trauma, and utilizing technologies that were first learned about with MK Ultra and Ultra experimentation. That's where it came from. That's where we're at,
Right.
and what's been done to us.
I have to ask you, because we spoke about a year and a half ago, I believe now, and you said to me that we're gearing up for one of 2 conclusions to this entire pandemic, incredible yet frightful movie. And one of the 2 is the introduction of the UFO, the Project Bluebeam, that we've been hearing about for years. And the other one was the nuke scare. Well, here we are right now. Literally, we have the Russian and Chinese Carnival cruise lines right by Alaska. Just sightseeing. And on the other hand, you have now the White House and every major DC beltway talking about UFOs. We're going to have the UFO Commission. They have UFO whistleblowers, and they don't know.
Well, they're transitioning to the high ground. That's where the real war is. It's in the brain and it's in space. Those are the 2 components of 21st century warfare. It's the tanks and all the showboating stuff and around and posing and pulling out warships and all that. That's not where the game's played anyway. That's just for the public. So that they're doing psychological operations on a global level. It's not just in many panoramic views, because the high ground is the brain and it's space. And people should be looking at the Artemis Accords in conjunction with all the bullshit that you're hearing in public from people with extensive credentials, which you just have to ask yourself, why in the world would anybody listen to anybody in government saying anything official whatsoever, especially with something like this? And why would you waste your time? Listen to a military person? Are they qualified to even speak about any of that stuff? No, they're not at all. Total, complete joke. We're being pushed in their face.
So yes, any time the establishment is backing something, you can just bet your last dollar that it's totally contrived, manufactured, and purposely put there to distract. From where you stand now, the standpoint now, because all this is coming out now of all the psychological operations. You have RFK Jr. talking about bioweapons. You have all these new kind of words and terminology in the lexicon of Americans, and then throughout the world after that. Where do we stand right now of a conclusion being the introduction of the UFOs, which I'm kind of partial of believing, I don't think we're there yet, Or is it going to be B, the nuke scare, to bring everything down to a 10-day of darkness, if you will, for the actual reset between BRICS versus the EU and the Federal Reserve?
Well, we're getting close to that, but the nuclear scare, I don't think they're going. It's not going to be the form of nuclear that people are accustomed to seeing or experiencing or reading about. It's going to be something different because there's going to be the high ground is going to include extraterrestrials, which is basically what their the big issue is. They've got to come out and say what's happened, what's really going on, that they've had a relationship with these species since the 40s, and they're going to have to deal with it now. And they're coming out and trying. Listen, let me put it to you this way. This just happened. I won't go into detail of it. I got 2 phone calls last week, both telling me stop talking in public. They were friendly, from friendlies, but they're suggesting, because they know information that I was given, that they don't want me talking in the public anymore about anything. I laughed my head off when I heard that just last week. James, please don't talk about this and don't talk about this.
Yeah.
So now I decided, I'm going to talk anyway.
Yeah, I get the same things. They always tell me to hang it up here. I mean, are we where we need to be in disclosure and learning these things?
We're being totally lied to. Even Greer's not even saying the truth. It amazes me. It's sad kind of that I'm seeing all of this, because all the people that were originally involved in the very beginning, I was lucky because I inherited the Amalgamated Flying Saucer Club of America, which was the original group of people that was put together out in near where Van Tassel was. I knew Doris Van Tassel, so I know the history and the real players of who was involved in this whole UFO thing. Now it's just a big show with commentary on commentary, but the real information is not really coming out. I'm kind of laughing at it. I'm laughing at it because they haven't really know their history at all of what really happened.
I mean, this seems to be the frisbee, like we're the dog, that they just keep throwing out there to change the subject. I mean, don't you feel that way? This is just so not organic in the way we should be talking about these things. Or maybe
no, it's all very, very well thought out psychic warfare, basically. I mean, the high ground for this whole thing is the extraterrestrial thing, and they want to maintain the narrative on that because that's the last fall, because that particular thing they are not experts on, and they want us, the public, depend on them as being the experts, and they're not the experts, because anybody knows that's been in that field for a long time. They're not saying anything at all, nothing of any value at all. And why would we be listening to them, especially now, from the people that have been there the longest? I mean, John Mack, Bud Hopkins, Marianne Shenafield, Colonel Wendell Stevens, Colonel Tom Beard, all these people, even Fletcher Prouty knew what the end goal was and why they were faking the abductions. We talked about it. They needed to make sure that when it came out, because they knew they weren't going to be able to hold that secret for long. And there was going to be a technological shift, and they wanted to monopolize on the existing technologies that they'd already had to parlay them into world government whilst controlling the narrative about the advanced intelligence extraterrestrial issue that we've been dealing with since the 40s here. And that's what it's all about. All these guys coming out and talking, they're not saying anything. There's no evidence. If you're going to come, show up with all these big stories, why don't you give us some evidence? There is none. You don't have any.
Exactly.
Why not show us something? Well, quit jerking us off.
Yeah, quit what he said. Absolutely. And here's
what has happened. I got a call this week, and they said, look, this New World Order thing isn't going too good because China has betrayed everybody. They got greedy, overzealous, and now they just want everything. And now what's going on is all these people that assembled this thing, they wanted to have this world government. They said, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And what's happened basically is now that China is double-crossed badly, really badly. And it's so bad that people talked to me this week and said, you should not talk about this section of it because the military is going to have to come out and make an official response, and they don't want to say, well, we don't know what we're doing, basically. And they don't want to look like jackoffs. So it's such a mess. I'm so sick of watching these people testify before Congress and off all over everybody and not doing anything.
Well, but James, I know something's different in the protocol here, because now they're focusing on the CCP, and I would throw my thesis in there that this could be Israel tinkering the burner on China. What do you think? What is the next step going to be? Because I think it's the nuke scare. When is it going to happen? Is it going to happen before the election, after the election, during, or?
It's already starting. They're doing it now. It's already. Okay. There's a controlled demolition. Banks people aren't seeing it because they're not reporting it because it's happening in small little pockets. I had 4 people this week. All their bank debit cards were all hacked. They had to change their entire banking issues. So there's a cyber attack on the financial infrastructure. There are lines at the bank. I've seen it in Texas, and I've seen it in other states as well. And all sorts of electrical problems, transactions. The whole thing is underway now. It's an electronic breakdown of the entire system, and a lot of power outages too, which are all being simulated. I mean, they're doing it really well on the public. It's so sad. It's so sad that people are just bowing down and taking it.
They are bowing down and taking it. Before you go, James, a lot of people have followed your travels. You always leave us on a cliffhanger, wanting to know more, which is good. And I could tell you're traveling for a while in Europe, France, and you got your tan on. You're looking healthy. Is there anything you can report on your travels overseas, promoting the potential cold fusion? Is there any updates you can share with this effective audience here?
That was one of the phone calls. Don't talk about that.
Okay.
Why? I'll just say it's this. It's good. It's very good. It's good. It's what is supposed to happen, and it's what needed to happen, and that's all I'll say, because they really got upset. And it wasn't upset that I was going to, they want to do the right thing. Right. I mean, this is the biggest countermeasure of all time. And people don't even realize it yet. It's just so crazy.
Okay, so anyways, we're going to end it there. James Martinez, thank you for coming back here tonight. How can people follow you? And for
Patreon.
Patreon.
James Martinez Media on Patreon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put up, what I'll do is I'll put up the Marion Shenefield interviews, so people know who this person was in history. She was one of the people that built remote viewing in this country. So it's an unbelievable, incredible story. Amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally do that. So Patreon, you can find him, James Martinez, over there. And if you want
James Martinez Media. James Martinez Media.
James Martinez Media. And I almost gave your phone number. There might be some interested people, but maybe a different time. Okay. James Martinez, thank you for returning to all your glory.
Thanks.
Okay. Talk to you soon. All right. There you have it, folks. You never know who's going to be turning into Mr. Ryan's neighborhood. This lady on the plane told me to go screw myself and all kinds of stuff, and because I wouldn't wear a mask. Here she comes right behind me. She's flipping me off and everything. Getting violent with me as I left the plane. I love it. I love the zombies. Just a whole scene there. Oh, there's my favorite woman. Now we can talk. Now we can talk. What were you saying to me on the plane? What were you saying to me on the plane? You were flipping me off? Wait, come on, you're on my show. I want to make you famous. Can I buy you a drink? Can I buy you lunch? What's your name? I thought you told me to go f*** myself because I wouldn't wear a mask because I don't buy into hoax, right? Because the CDC fudges the numbers. Oh, you just kicked me. You just kicked me right there.
You're such an asshole.
I'm sorry?
What's your problem?
I don't have a problem.
Yes,
I got
do.
solutions.
You
I got solutions.
And what's the
You just
solution
hit
today?
me.
What is the solution?
Well, I offered to buy you a drink.